everyone's concern. And with the wake and spread of the coronavirus, it is every man's war. It is important that as a planet, we look critically into the pandemic, COVID-19.
Security is the bedrock of a nation's stability, development, and sustainability, and it makes or mars the existence of a nation. It is paramount to pay utmost attention to this factor.
Considering the recent stay-at-home policy of President Buhari, today we'll be looking at the various security concerns that might arise due to this, considering the fact that many Nigerians earn their living on a daily basis, and so their earnings are halted, but their bills do not stop.
This is the APR exclusive on the African Patriot Radio. My name is Fulfillment Mwatorocha.
My name is Richard Bassi.
And I am Udo Immaculata.
We shall be taking a short break, and when we come back, we will be delving into the conversation proper.
Welcome back. You're still on to the APR exclusive show on African Patriot Radio. Remember, you can follow us across all social media platforms at African Patriot Radio. On the program today, we'll be looking at the effect of the COVID-19 on security in Nigeria.
The virus has swept across the world, killing thousands and causing millions to go into quarantine. Several nations have activated their armed forces to help combat it.
It's in this light that the recent order by President Muhammadu Buhari in a televised address to the nation on Sunday, which was to see to the cessation of movement in major cities such as Lagos, FCT, and Ogun State for 14 days to aid curb the spread of the virus.
It is believed that if we stop moving, the virus stops moving. But my concern is how about people that earn on a daily basis? They will run out of funds, and at that point, what do? This is beginning to seem like a survival of the richest, because people that can afford it will stock up, and those who can't, when they run out, this might create crime pockets across the nation.
Although some establishments have been exempted, like the hospitals, the food shops, the petrol stations, and the POS stands, it is something we should look into as a nation, because a lot of people who operate the pay-as-you-go system of working will be at a loss, as this will cause a very big hinge in the spread and circulation of food and relief items.
Obviously, enforcing a total lockdown in a period of 14 days is going to be a mammoth challenge for the authorities in a nation where millions of people depend on their daily earnings to survive.
Later on, we'll be joined by an expert to address this concern.
This will also lead us to the fact that in our country today, the coronavirus has actually helped on the need to be clean and the social well-being. It has also influenced the decision of those in the helm of affairs to look into the health sector. For instance, everybody is being cautious on the preventive and precautionary measures on how to stay alive and live healthy.
Well, we'll be going on a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be taking a deeper look at the security parameters as well as the steps taken by the security enforcement agencies, which is the paramilitary and the police force, to see that during this period we're having a safe and an orderly nation. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Before we went on that break, we were talking about Nigerians paying more attention to hygiene courtesy of the coronavirus. It is said that whatever you do for 21 days becomes a habit.
Yes, I actually pray that we in this country don't drop the habit. Because, for instance, the case of Ebola in 2014, where everybody had to run to use hand sanitizers, except for the fact that there were no face masks in use. But it was it's almost a similar case where you had to wash your hands, stay healthy, use hand sanitizer,
and then Ebola phased off.
And the habit phased off too.
Well.
So I just hope and I pray that this habit that we've all imbibed should stick, because it's actually for the good and betterment of everybody. Don't you think so?
Yes, I feel so as well.
Well, my question is, or my concern is, what are the steps that are going to be taken or that are being taken by the security agencies, the paramilitary, the military, police force, and the various security agencies? What are they doing for the next 14 days where there will be this total lockdown?
Yeah, because it is not enough to ask us to stay at home for 14 days.
Exactly.
After 14 days, do we resume our normal lives? What are they doing? What parameters are they putting in place to curb this menace while we're at home?
Considering the fact that we're going to spend 14 days, I can tell you for a fact that there will be increase in crime rates. Take, for instance, a shop that is on the street, and then people that have lost, that are out of stock and have lost money or have exhausted everything they have and they can afford, we just have to, some way or the other, damn the consequences and go to buckle a shop. Or you want to talk about those people that are at home now and that don't have any means of survival. Now they just go out to steal, theft, criminals, and crime rates will really be on the high side this season.
And then we also need to put into consideration that the security agencies need to make sure that they keep their officials in checks. Now, there will be issues. Imagine an example where there's an emergency that arises, and then you have to come out of this lockdown so as to meet the needs that emergency has created. You would need to make sure that because there's always the cases of police brutality and all of that. So the security agencies need to make sure that steps are taken to keep their officials in check and make sure they are not overexerting themselves during this 14-day period.
Because you're saying that, like they said, essential services are going to be open, like the hospital, and then what if I have to go, like they're open for our sake, right? And then I have to use these services. Because I'm thinking, for instance, let me paint a scenario. A pregnant woman has to go for antenatal, right? And then the hospital is of essential service, and then she needs their services. But now, how does she transport herself down there if she does not have a car, considering the fact that our transport system has been shut down as well? So you're saying these places are open, but you're also saying stay at home. I'm thinking, is there a parameter within which we're supposed to move? Because I do just stay at home, and then these services, like restaurants are supposed to do takeouts. I could order and then they bring it to me. But how about the security services? How about the hospitals? Do they have to come to me to administer health care should the needs arise?
Considering a scenario where, a lot of companies operate the work as you pay or pay as you work order, I think it's going to be a very huge challenge for us in the country, because irrespective of the fact that essential shops will be open, you would also agree with me that a lot of people would run out of cash. So how do these people tend to feed? How do they tend to go? How do they tend to survive? Because when you run out of cash and your office is on a lockdown, we haven't even gotten to the end of the month where a lot of companies tend to pay their staff. And then after the coronavirus pandemic situation in the country, how do they tend to have funds to go ahead their normal lives? Take, for instance, schools that will be resuming after this pandemic issue. How do they tend to cope? What are the government putting in place? What are the security agencies putting in place for those people that don't have enough money to afford a lot of these things? Are there going to be relief items that will be sent, or are times where would have to come out, or is it a total indoor adherence?
Yes, it takes me back to the question I asked. Is there a parameter within which we're supposed to move about? Because if the filling stations are going to be open, I have to go and then buy fuel from these places. And it takes me back to what Richard said. They should put things in place so I am not harassed. Even when I want to get these services, I have to leave my house, right? And yet I'm being asked to stay at home, and then I have to get the services. What modalities are they put in place that I am not harassed on the way? It also makes me want to think about this person's essential services we're putting out there. We're putting them out there. We're putting them at risk because they're also prone to this virus. Doesn't mean that they are like our guinea pigs. Like we're just using them for the experiments, because they are prone to this virus as well. They're going to come in contact with persons. So what modalities are they putting in place? It's not enough to say we should stay at home and then you're putting people out there. And these people have families. They will go back to their families. Do you understand? Yeah. They will go back to their families, to their wives, to their children. And what if they contact the virus out there on the field? What modalities have they put in place that they don't take it and transmit it to their loved ones at home?
And when you look at it, yes, these are security officials. And speaking of security, I mean, we've heard. I mean, the ISIS, the West African arm of ISIS, the leader, has told his officials that they should cease from every terrorist activity, every terrorist operation until coronavirus is over.
That's like telling people, let's stop killing until what is killing, finish killings, and then we resume killing. It's
like even the crime world is taking a step back because of the coronavirus.
This is a pandemic that has affected the world at large.
Yes, exactly. And when we put the culture to our security expert, I believe all these questions will be tackled because these are intricate questions that the nation, the country needs to know an answer to. Because at this point in time, yes, we're trying to curb the virus, but at the same time, we're putting our basic needs and things that we need to survive at stake for us to survive. So I think these are things that when we get in touch with our security expert, he will be able to answer for us.
And I would also like him when he comes on board to address the issue of the homeless people. We're saying stay at home. How about people that are homeless? How about people that do not have homes to stay at? Do you understand that even these public shelters where they house a lot of persons, what are measures put in place
to regulate?
Yes, students are expected to stay like 1.5 meters away from each other, and then these are crowded places, and they're going to be indoors. I fear for them.
If we could move further into this, we could also talk about the sporting activities and the betting companies. You know, they have lost a huge chunk of money to this pandemic because a lot of people use that as a means of consolation and also to generate extra cash for themselves. Now, in those people that try to, have a distraction or ease up depression or, playing and betting on these games now have nothing to do and are just asked to sit back in the house and just, watch. And no jobs, nothing, and when they run out of cash, they just sit back. Our crime rates there'll be a huge increase in crime rates in this country.
I actually feel for sporting activities or betting activities, as you put it. There were times when on the street we see people throw dice, and they can still do that. But I fear for crime rates and tout inclusion. But I guess the whole sit at home, work from home thing has actually opened our eyes at Nigerians to know that we can be productive regardless of the fact that we're at home. So a lot of firms have come to realize that, people can actually work from home. I'm talking about the sports scene and the birthing thing. People can actually bet online. Yes, you can do that. So we're exploring other options at this point.
It's also an opportunity for you to also find out things about yourself you didn't know. We will be going on a commercial break, and when we come back, we will be in touch with our security expert who will be giving us answers to all the questions that we have for him and the whole of Nigeria will be asking. We'll be right back. Welcome back to APR's exclusive broadcast. We're being joined by security expert Mr. Terence Kwanu. Good day, Mr. Terence Kwanu. How are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are happy to have you too, sir. Now, sir, we'll be asking you a few questions with regards to these developments with regards to the 14-day lockdown by the president. Now, the first question is, with the urgent need to shut down major cities such as Lagos, Ogun, and Abuja without prior notice, won't this lead to business burgling? And secondly, what are the measures that will be taken to ensure safety of business properties of people who will be quarantined far from their businesses?
Yeah, I think with the emergency nature of the health situation, I think the security sector was not properly consulted for shutting down the major cities of this country. I know that there should be immediate measures to be able to consult people within the security sector because locking down a city means you have locked down different characters at the same time together. Now, over time, there are going to be situations of people having needs in the home. And now these are characters that were not appraised properly before they were mumbled together to be in one city. So obviously, within a very short time, we're going to be having some chaotic situations where there will be attacks in some neighborhoods, which we hope will not occur if proper measures are being taken. I think Lagos, a multifaceted city with over 30 million people, needs to be seriously protected, especially the slums of Lagos, because people are just there, and you and I are aware there are no palliative measures that are in place yet to augment these families. So it is going to be a challenge security-wise if care is not taken. So we urge the security people to be able to guide the situation. Because of the nature of the health situation, we all know that we're not following the laid down procedures of doing anything any longer. So we cannot say that as a democratic country, we should go back to the laws before shutting down the city, because it might also lead to loss of life. So we just urge that the security situation should be reduced immediately, so that the people that are shut down in this city will be protected. And also economic-wise, we also know that we are going to be having some challenges. From the security perspective, we also know that the situations that have been laid down in this country already has collapsed for this year. After knowing the review of the budget, the review of the benchmark and everything. So when countries are shut down economically
so we do not
at that level, we know that there are going to be security challenges. But because of the vibrant military we have, if they are drafted within the country to be able to protect our cities, I think we are going to have some succor, and then we build on that to be able to protect our citizens.
Okay, Mr. Kwano, you made mentions of certain measures that have to be put in place, else we're going to have a chaotic situation. Can you actually quickly highlight on these measures that you feel the government needs to put in place to avoid this chaotic situation and uprising in our neighborhood?
We need to revamp the neighborhood watches to be very proactive. That means that you bring the security that the federal government has deployed to protect the society, then you mix them up with the local vigilantes so that the neighborhood will be watched properly. Because this kind of uprising that comes within this kind of situation always affect the neighborhoods. And so because neighborhoods might be attacked if care is not taken. So the neighborhood watches must be reactivated to properly watch the cities. So it shouldn't just be about patrolling the streets, XYZ. The neighborhoods should be watched properly.
Okay, sir. Does this shutdown mean there is a perimeter one has to move about, or is it like a total indoor adherence?
Yeah, Lagos, Abuja, Ogun is total indoor adherence. It is other cities that have imposed curfews for some hours, and then others have shut down for shops, and then pharmacies to be open. But Lagos, Ogun, and Abuja is a total shutdown.
Okay, sir. Is the 2 weeks an assurance that life will go back to normal? And who are those people allowed to roam about the streets? Are they the medical officers? Are they the media houses? Are they the force people?
Yeah, they are always essential workers, which has to do with firefighters, the media workers, the medical workers, the bankers, and other services that are essential for the day-to-day running of the society. They need to open. When if you ask me if the 2 weeks situation are going to be effective, I won't know because I'm not a medical person, but if the list they are tracing is handed over to the security people, I think they will let them trace the people they are looking for so that tests will be carried out on them, and then we'll actually know what is the result. If that lockdown can be able to bring out the people they are looking for, because we are aware that some people dropped from this country and then left the shores of Lagos and Abuja, and at the moment they are being traced because the people they had contact with have tested positive and XYZ. So if the security are able to help the medical workers to track those people down immediately, and then these people are tested, then we'll know whether they are positive or negative.
Okay, sir.
And then we are expecting that from the literature available for this disease, within 14 days we should know the status of many people that have come in, and then the people that are to be recovered within these 14 days, we also expect that a good number will recover.
Okay, sir. So are there incentives put in place to curb and manage harassment from security agencies?
Well, it is not an issue of harassment. It's an issue of enforcement that if you are expected to be indoors, you should be indoors. So it's not harassment. So if you are expected to be indoors and then you are out, one, you are endangering the society because this is a matter of life and death. So for you to go against the directive, already you are in danger to the society. So it shouldn't be seen as an issue of harassment.
Mr. Kwanu, what if in the case of an emergency, like unforeseen emergencies, like maybe induced labor for married women, or for pregnant women, or cases of health? Wouldn't...
Yeah, there are emergency numbers given before the lockdown. So you call the emergency numbers and tell them the situation you are in. And that is why ambulances have been provided and other facilities, health facilities, to attend to people wherever they are.
Okay, sir, but you said it's like a total indoor adherence, and then essential services are open. Aren't they open for us? How are we supposed to access the services when we're expected to be on a total lockdown?
If there are no designated filling stations to open, you know that those ambulances you need at the emergency will not come to you. And if pharmacies are not open, you know that there are some things the health personnel that are working around the clock also need to access. So these people need to open for them to have access to everything they need to manage the situation.
All right, Mr. Kwanu, we believe that Nigeria, having listened to you, will be a bit confident that the security agencies have this in place, and we believe that they will be dutiful in their going about their activities. Okay, sir? We appreciate you. We thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming on the show. Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
All right, so we've heard from Mr. Kwanu, and he has obviously given us very detailed and insightful. What do you think?
It's a good thing that our viewers got to hear the basic tips on how to survive this 14-day sit-at-home lockdown, because it is very, very important that a lot of us understand how best it is to go. He has assured us that there might be security agencies that will penetrate through the suburbs and the nook and crannies of the towns, the different towns that will be on the lockdown. And so I am happy that a lot of measures are actually going to be put in place to help us survive this menace.
Oh, well, I pray and I hope that we have a 14-day or hitch-free stay-at-home exercise. But in the meantime, please pass me the hand sanitizer.
Okay, this is where we draw the curtains on today's program. As always, my name is Richard Bassi.
And I am Udo Immaculate.
I am Fulfillment Matrosha. Please stay positive.